Well, John, voting is underway, as you can see here behind me. We're not expecting any of the chaos that we saw in Iowa last week. They're not introducing any new technology here, fingers crossed. The big hope is that they manage to drastically whittle down the number of candidates from the 5 main contenders still in the race. That is unusual, even at these early stages of the Democratic race. Incidentally, one of those candidates, the former Vice President Joe Biden, who was at one stage slated to even win here, has already packed up his bags and gone home. So sure is he that he is going to fare badly this evening. That is, of course, terrible news for him, but it's great news for Donald Trump, who sees the demise of strong candidates like Mr. Biden and the rise potentially of more left-wing candidates like the Senator Bernie Sanders as playing straight into his hands. And that really encapsulates the agony for the Democrats here, the idea that they are trying to unify around a single candidate who is best placed to beat Donald Trump in November.
Make sure you feel steady. You don't feel off balance.
The White Mountains of New Hampshire and locals in search of inner peace.
Flip your left palm over and reach it up. Reverse your warrior.
Drowning out the noise to focus on the moment. The Democrats here are seeking their own enlightenment.
Standing up, relax your legs, relax your arms.
Their inner angst is this. When it comes to picking a candidate to beat Donald Trump, do they vote with their heart or with their head?
Exhale, hands down to heart. Nice.
What it's going to come down to me personally is I have the challenge of voting for who I like versus who I feel can beat Trump in the fall. And that, to me, is the dilemma.
Find your breath.
I am also in the camp of anyone that will beat Trump. So if it looks like someone's coming out, in the front and they've got the good chance, then I'm going that way, absolutely.
The problem is, last week's voting debacle in Iowa didn't deliver an overwhelming winner. At least 5 candidates are still competing for that leading edge. But one man is gaining surprise traction.
I am definitely voting for Mayor Pete. I love his platform, and he's got my vote.
I love a smart man, and you just sit there and listen to him, and he has a way of talking to you. It's like taking a Valium. It's like, oh, I feel so much more relaxed.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg is a 38-year-old former mayor from Indiana who was unheard of here a year ago and polling at 0.
Don't let anybody tell you got to choose between listening to your head and listening to your heart.
But he upended the Democratic norms to narrowly squeak a shock victory in Iowa. He's now hoping his message of generational change will make him the undisputed winner here.
So that we win so big that we not only bring an end to the Trump presidency, but we put Trumpism in the dustbin of history with it.
That's right.
To do that, Mayor Pete will need to overcome the perception he's weak among African-American voters and that the U.S. simply isn't ready to elect a gay man as president.
I don't think it really has anything to do with his choice of a partner or his choice of living. It's his choice on what he values for this country.
No prizes for me guessing who you're supporting in this contest.
Oh, you'd have never guessed it, would you?
No.
I've heard him speak about 11 times, and I could just sit there, I'm riveted every time he speaks.
Meanwhile, an hour away,
it's time! It's time! It's time for a woman in the White House!
They're chanting for Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, who left Iowa a distant 5th, but one stonking TV debate later, and she's the golden girl of New Hampshire.
New Hampshire for Amy pins, $2, 3 for 5.
After raising an extra $3 million overnight.
Senator, is America ready to elect a female president?
They're more than ready, because I can beat Donald Trump. I'm tough enough to do it.
And how confident are you?
Very confident. We are here in New Hampshire, and we are surging.
Momentum here is everything, and the polls show this affable Midwesterner jumped into 3rd place, ahead even of the former Vice President Joe Biden.
We are going to build a beautiful blue wall of votes around these states, and we're going to make Donald Trump pay for it.
Senator Klobuchar made her pitch to rapture vociferous applause here. But can she convince the nation that now is the time to put a woman in the White House?
Oh, God, yes. It's way overdue, way overdue.
Let me tell you, she is really up there.
First time voting for you? Do you know who you're voting for?
Yes, we're voting for Amy!
But can she or anyone do enough to catch up with radical Bernie?
I plan on a campaign of radical transparency.
Senator Bernie Sanders may be the butt of bar jokes here. Donald Trump is too.
It was a perfect call. It was one of the greatest calls I've ever made.
But Bernie's no joke in the polls, out front, at least 5 points ahead of Mayor Pete.
4 more years of...
Perhaps sensing a socialist insurgency, the real Donald Trump came to town to hold a rally right in the Democrats' faces.
This president has gotten done more than most presidents combined.
People feel secure in our country because we know we have a strong, able, powerful leader.
And we need another 4 years, maybe even another 4 years after that.
Donald Trump lost New Hampshire to Hillary Clinton in 2016, but only just. And a win here this time would be seismic. That's why Democratic voters are still searching for that moment of clarity, when the clouds lift and voters finally settle on the candidate they believe can make it all the way to the White House.
Well, John, the voting is expected to close here and across New Hampshire around 8 o'clock. We are expected, all things being smooth, to get a winner announced sometime by 10 or 11.
Well, as you mentioned, there are those candidates there, but there is one more yet to come, the billionaire former mayor of New York, Mayor Bloomberg. What effect might he have?
Well, John, that's right. The billionaire Michael Bloomberg hasn't taken part either here or in Iowa last week, but he is strangely managing to poll, the latest polls at least say, about third nationally. And that's because he's spending hundreds of millions, more than £300 million on these heavy-hitting advertising campaigns. The first time he will appear on voters' ballots, though, will be in California, where he is hoping very much to shake up the race and go head-to-head, of course, with the other billionaire in this race, Donald Trump.